And we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Learning with Miss Nancy. And my goal is to help our early learners thrive and grow and become successful citizens. And I've had this series where I'm bringing in all the strong black men that I know to come and render to you their information, their expertise to help you, mom and dad, help your young person, your early learner, just become more informed. So today, we have a wonderful guest, a good friend of mine. I work beside him. His name is Mr. Edward Roulhac. Yay, Mr. Roulhac. And he's a very busy man, but he took from his very busy schedule to come and share some gems with us. Now, today we're going to talk about home ownership and the early learner. And you might say to yourself, how do the two come together? Well, they're more connected than you think. And he's going to explain that to us. But before we begin, I want to give you some information on Mr. Roulhac. Mr. Roulhac is a retired principal. He first worked in Florida from 1999 to 2002 as a principal. Then he moved up to Pennsylvania and worked in the Philadelphia area and in Pennsylvania area from 2002 to 2015 as an administrative principal, assistant principal, educational leader. And I had the pleasure of working with him for 1 year at one of our middle schools, the school district of Philadelphia. And my sister worked with him as well. She was the dean of students, and I was the assistant principal along with Mr. Roulhac. And let me tell you, we didn't have any problems when Mr. Roulhac was there. We called him Lobo because he's very kind, very gentle, but with those boys, he's what these boys need. He's firm and consistent, but fair. And he taught these young boys how to be young men, how to be polite, how to honor authority and all of that good stuff. And boy, I tell you, we need him back again. But anyway, he's now moved on from education. He used his skill set in business and administration and just moved it right into into real estate. So now he's selling homes. So welcome, Mr. Roulhac.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Roulhac, let's just jump right in. The first question I want to know, first of all, people want to know, how is it that, we can connect home ownership with the early learner? I just need to know, if you own a home, right, how does that positively impact the life of an early learner?
Okay, a home is a stable place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's an environment for children to grow up in,
Mm-hmm.
and it can lead to a sense of security,
Mm-hmm.
which can positively impact the early learner's emotional well-being.
Okay.
Okay, and overall development.
Mm-hmm.
Children learn consistency and stability.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a young kid I know, Isaac. He lived in a tenement building apartment, and his
Mm-hmm.
parents were lucky enough to move to a home when he
Mm-hmm.
was about 15, and his overall demeanor just changed.
Mm-hmm.
He was sweeping the front porch, and he was sweeping the sidewalk. He would help out with cleaning around. So he just made him feel a thousand, a million times better as a human being. He was only 13 or 14. So it gave him a place, and it gives a lot of the children a place that they can call home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Because I guess when you own something, you take more pride in it because you belong there. You know.
Take more pride. Yes,
Mhm. And,
yes,
and like you said, stability, because a lot of parents, parents do the best that they can, Mr. Roulhac, but if you're moving from place to place to place, it makes children, I guess, seem uneasy because they don't know where they're going to lie their head the next month, the next year. We're moving again. We're moving again. And
that's right.
like you said, stability is important because if you're learning, if you're trying to learn, you got to have like a stable environment for that to happen, right?
To have a home and a place, there's definitely less stress.
Oh, okay.
It's less stress in a child's life, in a parent's life, there's less stress, and with less stress, a person can, be have a balanced life day in and day out,
Okay.
and that's important.
So, Ms. Ruler, why do you think a lot of young parents with young children, why do you think they opt not to necessarily own a home? They'd rather just get an apartment or rent a house. Why do you think they don't necessarily, you know, want to own a home?
Okay, I'm gonna put on my educator's hat.
Okay.
It goes back to knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the knowledge and the understanding, then you will not go into buying a house.
Mm-hmm.
You won't plant that seed.
Yes.
So it goes back to education. Young folks and parents need to educate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait for a realtor like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Go and educate yourself on the value of owning a home. It's
Mm-hmm.
like planting a seed. So it goes back to education. So that's why a lot of uh, uh, people just don't invest in a home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't know the ins and outs, and it's not that hard to learn.
Okay.
Basically, not that hard to learn, but
Mm-hmm.
they need to know the terminology,
Mm-hmm.
the programs available,
Mm-hmm.
um, and educate themselves. That's why a lot of young folks and the older folks too
Mm-hmm.
don't buy a house. It's lack of knowledge, which is easy to get, and they can get the understanding.
Okay. So I guess now when you say lack of knowledge, where would they go to find or get this information? On Google it, or are there programs out here?
Public library
Okay.
is free.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yes.
still have my public library card.
Mm-hmm.
It's free. You can
Okay.
start there.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google
Mm-hmm.
a lot of information.
Right.
Okay, so it is free with
Mm-hmm.
Google, the internet, and the library. It's free information.
Right.
There are a lot of free courses too,
Mm-hmm.
or if you have to pay a little bit of money,
Right.
okay, pay the money and take some basic real estate courses.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
and I go back to the beginning of time, the Genesis: be fruitful and multiply.
Yes.
Only way that you're gonna be fruitful and multiply is have that knowledge.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and Proverbs: get the understanding
Mm-hmm.
and the knowledge. So it's free.
Yeah.
Go to the library,
Mm-hmm.
call a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, advice is free.
Right.
Uh, People like me, we will answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you need to know, if I don't know it, I'll find out the answer for you.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but you need to become knowledgeable. And then once you become knowledgeable, then looking at buying a house becomes a little easier
Mm-hmm.
all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and also your children. Early the children will see what dad and mom is doing, or
Right.
what mom is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and what are they doing? Oh, they're studying real estate. I'm
Right.
going to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so children are always watching and learning from their parents.
Mm-hmm. That's some good information because, as I was thinking about home ownership and early learners, like you said, children are watching. And
All the
because
time.
they're watching, we continue to create and produce generational wealth or generational poverty, right? A
That's right.
generation of informed children or a generation of children who are not knowledgeable about anything. So we have to be real careful as to what we are exposing our children to. That's some good information, Mr. Roulhac. So remember, everybody, remember, always say, come to Learning with Miss Nancy with a pad and a pencil. And while I have Mr. Roulhac here, he said that you can call him, and he means that. So here's his number: 215 680 He will definitely answer the phone and definitely answer your questions regarding real estate, because even I had to call him when my mother and I were looking for property so that we could maybe have our physical building for our children. And I hadn't talked to him in a couple of months, maybe a couple of years after I retired. But as soon as I called him, he called me right back, and he set up a lot of opportunities for us to go visit places, you know, and he makes everything smooth and easy. So call him at 215 680 3419. I'll leave it up for a minute. So you guys need to call if you don't have a house for your early learning.
I run into a lot of situations where the home is owned by a senior,
Mm-hmm.
and then the younger generation, they don't see the value of that house, and it goes to someone else. Okay, so instead of having generational wealth, just like you said,
Mm-hmm.
which the children can keep the house going, there's equity in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for example, if a house is worth $300,000
Mm-hmm.
and there's equity of $200,000, um, someone smart and maybe shifty
Mm-hmm.
will go and approach the owners and and take the equity somehow, some way,
Mm-hmm.
and the children don't get that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I run across that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not going to go about a couple of locations,
Mm-hmm.
but the children, because they don't have the education and knowledge, they're losing out on the equity.
Mm-hmm.
A home is a seed.
Mm-hmm.
If you once you buy that house, it's a seed that grows.
Mm-hmm.
And in 5 or 10 years, there's a lot of money that's built up, which can be used to fund a children's education,
Okay.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
college, and so forth, okay.
Right.
You can use some of the equity to help them buy their own first house
Mm-hmm.
as a first time buyer too. So I just wanted to add that generational wealth is being pushed aside by some folks that don't have education, the young
That's good. Ms. Roulhac, the sound is going in and out. I don't know if the microphone, I think we got to maybe talk right into it because I can hear you real clear and sometimes it fades. So I don't know. I don't know. This platform, sometimes it, shoot,
folks.
we'll keep going. But that's good
Okay.
information. And thank you for that, folks. Remember to take out pad and pencil. Pad and pencil. Okay. Okay. So the next question is, what type of educational opportunities benefit early learners who live with parents who own their own home?
Well, once again, if parents are having a living room chat, a kitchen chat with their family, and it gets to the part of owning a house, they can discuss all the ins and outs of owning the house, what it takes to maintain the house, um, um, wherever they live at, how it adds to their neighborhood.
Hmm.
So with the living room chat, dining room chat, they can discuss the real estate and the house, um, what they appreciate about the house. Um, a child with a home probably has their own bedroom
Oh,
versus an apartment. You know, and I sold a house recently to a family, and they had a older to teenage girl and two boys.
hmm,
Well, when they moved into the house, the teenage girl had her own room. Happened to be painted pink,
hmm, hmm,
and she had her own room, and you should have seen the smile on her face.
hmm,
She had her own room.
okay.
Okay, and so so sitting with children and talking about the house and the benefits of having a house, and it just instills pride in a child,
Hmm.
and you know what, when they are around other children too, and there people talking about their houses,
Hmm.
a child can talk in a positive way about, well, my house has this,
Right,
my house has that, and
right.
we got this nice yard, and
Hmm.
and so it's a self-esteem
Hmm.
a builder.
Right.
Hope I
Self-esteem.
hope I answered that question.
You did. And Ms. Real, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, I don't know why I was thinking about this, but when I talked about opportunities, you ever notice, and this is not a judgment, but a lot of our athletes, for example, when they make it, the first thing they'll say is, "I want to buy my mom a house," and that's a nice thing. I mean, that's a
Yes.
wonderful gesture, but in my mind, I'm thinking you should have been had a house, and Mama should have had a house too. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh
That
yes.
should not be a goal when we're adults. That should be something like when you're a kid, you should be happy to say, I had my own room, like you said, had my own house. So when I get older, maybe I want to buy my mother a bigger house.
Yes.
That's being an adult and your
Hmm.
mother worked through 2 and 3 jobs and never had her own home.
That's
We
right.
have to now, our minds have to renew our minds
Yes.
out of that thinking that, I'm going to play this ball, I'm going to play basketball, I'm going to play football so I can buy my mother a home. No, no. We're going to, of course, build a legacy of wealth, but
Yes.
home ownership should be just like drinking water, something that you are entitled to have and something that you should have. Because if
Yes.
parents are working, it's something you should have. Am I right or wrong?
You are right. You know what? Um, mothers mothers want a kitchen
Mm-hmm.
and a wonderful private bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
uh,
and believe it, those are two big self-esteem things for the mother of the house. If the mother of the house feels great, the whole family feels great.
okay.
So if the mother is living in in a small place, apartment, cramped, she doesn't feel that great.
Mm-hmm.
But mothers tough it out.
Yes.
But you get a mother in a house that she likes.
Mm-hmm.
She has that kitchen. She
Mm-hmm.
has that bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
privacy. You know, those two things. Her self-esteem goes up,
Mm-hmm.
and it spreads throughout the family.
Mm.
You know, mom is humming, mom is smiling, mom is happy.
Yes.
Well, because she
Right.
has she has what she wants: a
Right.
nice bedroom, privacy, and kitchen.
Mm-hmm. That's a
She,
good.
hmm
And I never thought about that, but like you said, a lot of moms are holding it down and working really hard, and they sacrifice so much. And you just said two things: they want their kitchen and their private bathroom.
that's right.
And Lord knows that's the truth, because when my husband, when we got this house, he made sure I had my own bathroom, and I
Uh-huh.
wanted it's my bathroom. I don't want
Hmm.
But that's important. That's so important. Home ownership, because if mommy's feeling good, then everybody's gonna be okay. The early learner included is gonna
You
be
have
okay.
to. Mama has to feel good,
Mhm.
and then all the babies feel better.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
If mama's frustrated, everybody's gonna have a hard time.
That's
That's
right.
it, they feel it. So that's
That's right.
that's so good. That is so good. All right, so here's another question. And you already really talked about this. It says, how does what role does home ownership play in establishing a foundation for security for early learning? You really talked about that already.
Yes. You know what? Um, if someone has a house to 10 years down the road, there is money.
Hmm.
Money is security.
Hmm.
There's equity line of credit. There's ways to get to the equity in a house
Hmm.
to help the young child.
Hmm.
Okay, and that is security, financial security. It is right there.
Hmm.
Okay, and versus having an apartment. Now, living in an apartment for like 10 years, there's no equity buildup.
Mm.
You live in an
Repeat that
apartment for
again. I
10.
didn't hear that. What you say?
If someone lives in an apartment, there is no equity buildup.
Okay.
None.
Hmm.
The money goes to someone else and it's theirs.
Hmm.
But you own a home and you build up your own equity, money, dollars in that property. It's
Hmm.
it's a seed. It is a seed that keeps on sprouting and growing.
Okay.
Okay, so that gives financial security, it gives leverage.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
homeowner has some leverage.
Okay.
Okay, so that's like, I mean, that's a wonderful thing.
Hmm.
The young folks need to stop renting.
Hmm.
There's first-time home buyer programs out there.
Hmm.
They might not see it right away, but the money will come back to them in time.
Hmm.
Okay, apartments are nice, but it doesn't build the wealth.
Hmm.
Okay, that's why when you drive in the suburbs, you
Yes.
know, people have these big homes. It's only two people, maybe or three, but they don't buy that big home just for two people. They build it because it builds up the wealth.
Hmm.
and they can use the money to build on something else.
Oh, wow. And so we're not thinking along because Miss Real, as you were talking, I was thinking about like when we drive through our neighborhoods, you see a lot of people, and that was my next question, like home ownership bringing like pride to your community, and maybe the pride isn't in the community because the people that live there don't own their property, so they just let it go. So if you're living in a rental home, you can care less about cutting the grass, you can care less about sweeping the front because that's not yours, and anything that's yours you take pride in, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right. It's pride of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And even a young child will see it. A child is watching. They'll see it,
Yes.
they'll hear it, and they'll go, "Oh yes, I need to pick that up," or I need to help out with cutting the grass.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm. Because I was looking, at like the question is like home ownership versus those who rent and children who live in. I was reading some with children who live in a community where people own their homes. They're more um, interested in preserving the pride of that community. Like you said, they won't have trash in the street. They will participate in block cleanup. You know, sometimes you don't own your home. You could care less if they have a block cleanup. You won't even get out of bed because it's not your community. But kids will see grown-ups sweeping the front, cutting the grass, trimming the trees, participating in socialized events and things of that nature. And a lot of children who are renting in communities, that's a big difference. Even if you are in a community where there's sports activities, people don't tend to donate because they
no,
don't have any. They're not connected. They're not connected. You might have to ask the corner store to donate some money. They're not connected because they're not even from the community. They come in, take your money, and out the door they go. So nobody
that's right.
you know, have taken a
Yeah,
part in owning anything. So if you don't
that's
own
right.
it, you care less.
That's right. That's
Mhm,
right. A lot of places where folks own their own homes, there are youth clubs, youth sports clubs, just like you said.
mhm,
You know, and they parents together and sponsor the basketball team and the
right.
baseball team.
Mhm,
These little league baseball teams that go to the finals in Williamsport. I mean,
right.
they're from towns.
Right.
They're from towns, and
Mhm,
the people in the town own their own homes.
right.
So it spills out. It
Mhm,
spills out to the youth.
mhm.
Yep.
So, so Mr. Bullock, I remember one year, and it may have been a couple of years ago after I retired. I retired in 2013, and so I started doing some subbing at various schools. And there's this one school in particular that they asked me to stay for a couple of months, and I did. And so for an assignment, right? I don't know what we were talking about neighborhood building and that kind of thing. And so I said to the students, I said, I want you to go to your neighborhood and on your way home, write down all the addresses of stores that are owned by Black people, right? And then come back the next day and report out. And this is no lie, every student did exactly what I said, and they came back with addresses, but none of the addresses were of people of African American descent or African descent at all. They
Yep.
were Asians, and not to say anything negative about Asians, and Hispanics. Asian and Hispanics in Black neighborhoods, but no Black owned stores. And so I said to them, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? And they really didn't even think about it. It was just as natural to them to have these people own these stores in this neighborhood, and you have no ownership of anything. You don't own your house, right? You have to go to their stores. When you walk in, they're playing Spanish music, and you don't even understand what they're saying. When they're singing it, they're in your neighborhood playing Spanish music that you don't even listen to. So we had a discussion about that. I'm not trying to put out anything negative about any culture, but again, it goes back to like home ownership. You're living in these communities, you're paying money to these rental offices. But these folks, their children are going to college based on the rent that you're paying. So home ownership is imperative. right?
Right. You know what? A mentor of mine told a story.
Mm-hmm.
He said a family came from an Asian nation. I'm not going to say the nation.
Okay.
And they first first they rented the storefront,
Mm-hmm.
opened up a food establishment, a little food establishment, a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Then they owned the building,
Mm-hmm.
and they started to rent out to people apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So then, fast forward 10 or 12 years, there's a sign on the gate. Now this store is normally open up 24/7, okay? But there's a sign on the gate, closed today. My son is graduating from Harvard.
Mm.
My mentor of mine told me that story, true story. And for all those years, folks in the community
Mm.
buying the goods and services from that store, and they were renting out to folks in the apartments to above the store, and put a sign up that we are closed today because our son's graduated from Harvard. And you know how much Harvard costs a year?
Yes.
So that little store then didn't change much. Appearance did not change much in 10 years or 12 years. And but they were banking that money and banking the money from the folks.
Mm-hmm.
And their son graduated from Harvard. Now he goes to Harvard, graduated from Harvard, and of course he's going to keep it going, generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was a story from a mentor of mine, and it's true.
Wow. I'll never forget that story, and that story still lives today, Mr. Rulick. I so when we talk about home ownership, our early learners need to see that mommy and daddy can own a home. Mommy and daddy can own property, and as a result, I can replicate those types of actions in my own life as a young person. I don't
Yes.
always have to rent. I don't always have to go to stores and buy from people that don't look like me. I can own these things. Mr. Ruler, can you give us some steps? Like, what would be some first steps if I'm a person? I don't know anything about home ownership. I know one step would be to call you. That's the number 215 680 3419. And if they don't want to call you, guess what? Mr. Ruler, like I have, we have your email. Edward, EDWARD, ROULAC.realtor@gmail.com. So you have a phone number and an email. So can you give us some simple steps that we can do to own a home that will help our early learners see that it's possible?
Okay, step one is to talk to a.
I can't hear.
Oh, I think I blocked the phone. Step one, you hear me now?
It's faint, a little faint.
Okay. Step one is to talk to a realtor. It doesn't have to be me. Maybe someone has a person that they know they've been working with. So
Hmm.
step one is to talk to a realtor
Hmm.
and explain what their situation, what are their goals for a house. You
Hmm.
know, the realtor should have a listening ear to listen first to what the person is saying,
Hmm.
okay, and find out what their goals are. What are their goals? Um, where do they see themselves in the next 3 or 5 years with owning a house? So that's the first step. And then after that, after finding out what the needs and wants are, then to a realtor should educate their customer client on the different programs available out there that can help them. And every case is going to be, it won't be the same. So, listening ear first, have a listening ear,
Hmm.
find out what their goals and wants are, um, find out as much as possible about that, and then guide them to the education, to educate them on the programs and steps that they need to get involved with, things they need to know. And once the education and understanding is there, then to help them, the realtor should help them move forward
Hmm.
with their application. Um, also, There's a thing called being a pre-approval.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a pre-approval. Okay. I have a mortgage person I work with. He's very good. But if someone has their own mortgage person, a mortgage broker, a broker has access to many types of plans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you need to get a pre-approval. You need to do a buyer's financial information called a BFI. A person needs to write out their assets, their liabilities, um, what they owe, what they own. If they own a car, that's an asset. If they have cash in the bank, that's an asset. If they have a mutual fund, a 401k, whatever assets they have
Mm-hmm.
and liabilities, they have to write it out. Then they have to deduct the liabilities from the assets. Now they can do that, at the kitchen table, the dining room the table. They can do it with the family.
Mm-hmm.
They can do it with the children.
Mm-hmm.
The state of the family. They can have a state of the family meeting with their family, with their children. Okay, kids, husband, wife, whatever. We're going to talk about the state of this family, and
Mm.
these are our assets. This is what we own. This is what we owe out. Okay, and at the end of that, this is our net worth. You have to know what your net worth is after you subtract the liabilities from the assets. What is this family worth? Okay, when you do that with an apartment, you don't have any net worth. What do you own? Is the apartment an asset? No. Okay, only your personal belongings in the apartment are your assets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you own a house, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But if you own a house, even if it's a small house, a start house, that's an asset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you need to know what your net worth is. You need to have a pre-approval. You need to be open and honest with your realtor or broker. That person can help you. Once you have your net worth and your assets and your liabilities, then the program, then you can target the programs. Okay, there's programs with the FHA. There's VA programs as well. Um, um, Someone that's been in the Army and Marines, there's a VA loan that they could possibly use. Okay, which is little or nothing down. Okay, there's a lot of first time home buyer programs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, even if someone owned a house and for some reason they lost the house and then a few years have passed by, they are still a first time home buyer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of programs where you can put down as little as 3% down. 3% down versus the 20% down. Okay. So you have to, the steps is to find out where your capital is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever capital that you have in the bank, you might have a relative, a senior citizen relative. Someone might give you a financial gift. Someone that's a senior that has a house and has some equity might give you some of the equity for
Mm-hmm.
your down payment. So, you need to find out where you stand. So it's important to have that state of the family meeting. You know, I mean, we have the state of the union,
Mm-hmm.
president. You have the state of the state. Every state has the state of the state. The governor. You have the mayor has a state of the. They have the state of the city. Have the state of the family because that's more important than the state of the union and the state of the city.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of your family, okay, and know where you stand. That builds generational wealth. Builds the knowledge and the education.
Mr.
Now,
Roulhac, woo.
now everybody in the family is not going to be up to having that meeting. But you know what? You have to. somebody has to be strong in that family to say, well, this is the direction that we're going.
Mm-hmm.
With or without you, there's going to be generational wealth that's going to be happening here.
Yes.
And you know what? You stick to your guns or
Mm-hmm.
stick to your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They will join you because they'll say, "Wow, I might be losing out here on some money."
Right.
So so
Mm-hmm.
those are steps I think that a family should take. You
Oh,
know.
Mr. Roulhac, I am stuck on state of the family meeting. I've never heard it explained like that. And matter of fact, I think that's something that I will just start just incorporating state of the family meeting because I've never heard that phrase, but I will definitely be using it to talk about generational wealth. And I'm really interested in that, because I have children and grandchildren. And when I leave this earth, I want to have money set aside for them, and that's something that we can discuss at the state of the family meeting. Wow. I love that phrase.
Hmm.
Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Rulick, you have been a wonder. I know we can't get it all done in this time that we have. You've answered our questions, and I hope I've seen people come in and out of our live. We've been on for about 36 minutes. I thank you so much. And again, here's his phone number. Let me get it back up for you guys. There it is. You can jot it down, 215-680-3419. As you can see, he knows what he's talking about, and he's someone that will help you get a house because we want everybody to stop renting and sending these people to Harvard. So
That's
when you
right.
have a business, you shut your business down and say, my child is graduating today from
Hmm.
whatever school, HBCU today. So we can
That's right.
call Mr. Rulick at 215-680-3419, or here we have his email, edwardroulhac.realtor@gmail.com. Mr. Rulex, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have any closing remarks before we go?
Miss Nancy, I tell you, you are a blessing. Thank you very much for including me
Mhm.
in with the men that's speaking to your audience.
Yes,
You were a blessing to work with, and you're still a blessing.
I'm
You
trying.
know, is it like our paths were meant to meet.
Yes,
Okay, because as we uh, go on in life here, we are helping each other still.
yes, yes.
Okay, I have five facts I like to leave.
Please.
73% of homeowners report being able to build their savings. This is
Mm-hmm.
from the National Association of Realtors,
Mm-hmm.
and this is regarding uh, black folks.
Okay.
It was a study that was done. 87% of Habitat kids are graduating from high school,
Mm-hmm.
which is important. 90% of homeowners are now proud of where they live. 7% of homeowners saw an overall improvement in the health problems like asthma, allergies, or mobility limitations.
Wow.
In those apartments, there's a lot of stuff going on. Pollen, dander. People get asthma. These kids get asthma.
Right, right,
Health,
right.
the health is a problem.
Health problems.
Okay,
Okay.
and 99% of homeowners say they now reduce, reuse, or recycle, which helps the community
The environment.
environment. Okay,
Wow.
and yeah, and I knew a childhood friend. He suffered from asthma, living in a tenement apartment
I
built
can't
for
hear
his
you.
uh, friend Isaac. He
Mm-hmm.
suffered from asthma, living in a tenement apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Moved into his house,
No
no
problem.
more asthma.
No more.
Gone.
Gone. Because you
Fresh
own your
air.
own home.
On his own home. Yes.
Wow.
So that's how I close. But Miss Nancy, thank you very much.
Mhm.
You are a blessing sent from above. Thank you very much.
No, you are the best. And I'm telling you, everybody, it was a pleasure working with you, Mr. Roulhac. And if we had more Mr. Roulacs, I'm going to say this publicly, in our schools, we wouldn't have the problems we have today. And I'm going to stop on that note. So thank you, Mr. Roulac. And I hope that you'll hear from these parents that need housing. And I know that you will set them straight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll be talking real soon. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.